Dear students, in this lecture, inshallah, we will continue illustrating the causes of the statelessness. In the previous lecture, we were discussing the first reason of the statelessness case, which is the state succession. I gave you many examples regarding this cause, like the dissolution of the former Soviet Union and the Yugoslav Federation. I told you the problem of Estonia, for example, as one of the states that were or that was part of the former Soviet Union. Then there were people who are Russian originally. However, they were forced to live in the canton named Estonia at that time. So after the succession, the Estonian government was really strict in granting the Estonian nationality to the people, especially people who were belong to Russia or originally from Russia before the succession. So these people who failed to have or to enjoy the Estonian nationality failed also to gain the Russian nationality, so they become without nationality, de jure and de facto at the same time. So this is the first example that I gave you regarding the state succession as one of the causes for the statelessness case. Despite this fact, there were a lot of like attempts to end this problem through international conventions. And I gave you an example, the Article 10, Paragraph 1 of the 1961 Statelessness Convention, which requires any states, I mean, when they uh, have a case of succession, they must consider these people. I mean, the people who are jeopardized to the case of the statelessness. Okay. However, in the practical field, these states do not give any care for these people, and this is one of these examples. I mean, the problem of the Estonian people. Then after that, I told you the one of the second cause for the statelessness case is the conflict of laws and the administrative practices, and this actually means that when states adopt different ways to grant nationality, this may lead to the case of the statelessness. And I gave you an example for people who are French and they got birth in another country. That country grants the nationality on basis of the jus sanguinis. However, the state of the parents grants it on basis of the jus soli. So this would lead to person with a statelessness case or a stateless person. Now, our talk today is about the third reason or the third cause of the statelessness case, which is discrimination against minority groups. When I talk about minority, then I'm talking about people who do not represent more than maybe 10,000 or even less than 10% of the percentage or the whole percentage of the population in the state. So, uh, if not 5% sometimes. So, for example, when I talk about minority, it will come to my mind the problems of the Kurd people in Syria and Iraq, the Burmese people, especially the Muslims, Rohingya people, also the Bidoon or the persons who dwell in Kuwait without nationality. So these are examples for people who represent minority groups in states. So in Burma, Syria, Iraq, and Kuwait. Burma, there are Rohingya people. Syria and Iraq, there are the Kurd people. And when it comes to talk about Kuwait, then we are talking about here the Bidoon or without jinsiyah. So let's start here with what is written here. It says, in some cases, minority groups have either been prevented from acquiring the nationality of the country in which they reside or dwell, or have been arbitrarily deprived of their nationality. Okay? So, talking about discrimination means one of the images mentioned here. The first image is when people are denied or prevented from acquiring the nationality. I mean, you reside within the state territory, but the state doesn't want to grant you the nationality for certain reasons, or it is not convinced with your existence or even giving you this nationality, or even you had this nationality, but the state deprived you arbitrarily from this nationality. So you became, in both cases, you become a stateless person. However, the first image here is what matters. I mean, discrimination against minority groups means the first image is more clear, actually. I mean, when you dwell in the state, you reside inside the state. However, you're not giving you're not given the nationality or granted the nationality. A contemporary example of this problem can be seen in Sudan, especially after the isolation between the southern and the northern Sudan. I mean, after the state succession of Sudan and becomes two states, the northern state of Sudan and the southern Sudan, where the government has been urged to ensure that Sudanese persons of southern origin are not stripped of their Sudanese citizenship if they do not become citizens of the new country of South Sudan. Now, after the succession of Sudan, after the fragmentation that happened in Sudan, it becomes two states, state of Northern Sudan, Southern Sudan. However, there are people who are dwelling in the southern origin of the northern Sudan. These people, they do believe in the same ideas and thoughts of the people who are in the southern Sudan. However, the government of the northern Sudan was urged by the uh, by the United Nations and the other organizations, even the people or the governmental people, they were urged by their own government, I mean the northern government of Sudan, that these people, I mean the Sudanese people who dwells on the southern origin of the state, must not be deprived of their Sudanese citizenship if they do not want clearly to be citizens of the new country of the southern Sudan. يعني كأني بقول إنه في ناس كتير ضلهم عايشين في السودان الشمالي، لكن في الأقاليم القريبة جدا من حدود الدولة الجديدة، حتى لو كانوا بيؤمنوا، حتى لو وصلت قناعتهم إنه إحنا نؤمن بالدولة الجديدة، وحتى لو كان لهم أصول من من يعني الناس اللي بيعيشوا في الدولة الجديدة، طالما أنهم يرغبون في البقاء في السودان الشمالي ولا يريدون أن يصبحوا بكل صراحة أعضاء وسكان ضمن السودان الجنوبي الجديد، فإنه لا يجوز تجريدهم من الجنسية. similar concerns، يعني لو بدناش نعمل هيك او بدنا نجردهم من الجنسيه حيصيروا stateless person. يعني هم موجودين في النورث سودان، however they are not granted any nationality, neither the northern Sudanese nationality or even the southern Sudanese nationality, and this would lead to the problematic of the statelessness. Similar concerns of statelessness have arisen in Burma, Syria, Iraq, Kuwait in the recent decades. And here we will start with the first problem regarding the Burma or the Burmese people. In 1982, the Rohingya, an ethnic minority group of Burma, were stripped of their Burmese citizenship. Okay, uh, now the Rohingya still residing in Burma have been consistently denied access to the Burmese citizenship over the last several decades and have been subjected to violence as well as. I think uh, we should delight on this example in our lecture with Mr. Ahmed Abfoul when we were talking about the deportation as crime against the as a crime against the humanity. I think against these people, I mean the Burmese people or the Rohingya, the Muslim Rohingya people. Anyway, on their rights to marry, freed, and the freedom of movement, among other severe human rights abuses. So the first example here is the minority that are named the Rohingya people, who are Muslim people. They are deprived and and they are stripped of their Burmese citizenship. Okay. The second example here is the Kurdish people, the Kurdish population. Here it says that the Kurdish populations of Syria and Iraq have experienced a similar fate. In 1962, the Syrian government issued decree which announced a one-day census in the Hasaki province, home to a large population of Syrian Kurds. اوكي، عملوا اعلان او مرسوم انه انا بتذكر انه مفاده كان انه كانوا بينادوا او بيتطلبوا من السكان الاكراد تحديدا انه يسجلوا خلال يوم واحد. فتحوا المرسوم لمدة يوم واحد، يعني المرسوم اعلن عن يوم واحد انه يا سكان مقاطعة الحسكة تحديدا الناس الأكراد يرجى أنه تتوجهوا إلى أقرب مراكز معينة وحددوها أنه للتسجيل. الآن كل واحد سجل يعني استطاع أنه يحصل على الجنسية السورية وتوطن، في حين الناس اللي ما سجلت بسبب عدم معرفتها بالقرار أو المرسوم زائد أنه عدم كفاية مدته اللي هو كانت يوم واحد أصبحوا غير قادرين على اكتساب الجنسية السورية، وبالتالي أصبحوا موجودين في مقاطعة الحسكة أو في المحافظة دون وجود أي جنسية فعلية بالنسبة لهم. Anyway, residents were required to prove residence in Syria since 1945 or lose their citizenship. أنه عمليا ممكن يكون البعض منهم أصلا بدون جنسية والبعض كان بيحمل الجنسية، بس إذا بدك تحملها بشكل رسمي أو الناس اللي مش حملها أصلا يجوا على المراكز ويثبتوا حصولهم على الجنسية السورية عام 1900 أو ما قبل عام 1945 وإلا بيخسروا الcitizenship تبعتهم. But residents were given insufficient notice of the census. يعني هذا اللي أنا قلته هنا إنه الديكري announced for only one day census. However, this census is not sufficient for certain people. Anyway, as a result, 120,000 Kurds were denaturalized, a figure accounting for 20% of Syria's Kurdish population. يعني 20% من الأكراد الموجودين في سوريا بدون جنسيات. في هذاك الوقت في وقتنا الحالي أكيد صار في عنا more and more people without nationality. I mean the Kurd people or the Kurdish ones. 1980 في عنا الفليل courts in Iraq were stripped of their nationality following a decree issued by then President Saddam Hussein. Okay, so these people, I mean the Kurdish people, they face the same fate that the Kurdish people face in Syria. Okay, so they live without nationality within the borders of the state. Okay, now in other cases, certain ethnic groups within a country were deemed ineligible for citizenship following that country's acquisition of independence. Here what matters about Kuwait. In Kuwait, Article 1 of the 1959 Nationality Act states that any person or their descendants who settled in Kuwait prior to 1920 and maintained their residence there until enactment of the laws or the law is a Kuwaiti national. أي شخص أو أحفاد أو الديسندنتس تبعون هذا الشخص اللي كانوا موجودين في العراق ما قبل عام 1920 وتحصلوا على إقامة في هذا البلد في الكويت قبل عام 1920 هم اللي يعتبروا حسب القانون من الكويتيين. يعني تعريف الكويتي حسب هذا القانون أو هذا الأكت بقول لي الكويتي هو كل شخص كان موجودا في الكويت من أصول هو أو أصوله أو تحصل على مواطنة شرعية في هذا البلد ما قبل عام 1920 يعتبر هو الشخص الكويتي. يعني كانوا بقول لي أي أشخاص أخرى ما نطبقش عليهم هذا الوصف بيكونوا مش كويتيين. Anyway, through the application of this law, about one third of Kuwait's population at that time of its independence was classified as بدون جنسية or without nationality. اسمهم البدون، ولو انتم بحثتوا على معلومات حول هذه المسألة أو وثائق حول هذه المسألة هتلاقي إنه اسمهم البدون، الناس اللي بيعيشوا بدون جنسية في الكويت. Anyway, it should be noted that some were in fact ineligible for citizenship but did not register during the relevant period because they misunderstood the importance of acquiring the Kuwaiti citizenship. Anyway, since the 19th, the Bidoon in Kuwait have been treated as illegal residents and have experienced discrimination in employment, the education sectors, as well as in their ability to obtain legal documentation, including the birth and marriage certificates. هلا هم بده يتجوزوا بدهم يولدوا ما فيش أي أوراق رسمية تمنح إلهم ولا لأولادهم اللي بينجبوهم. While the government has recently issued decrees allowing small numbers of Bidoon to naturalize, the majority of Bidoon remains statelessness. صحيح إنه صار في حملات كثيرة لتوطين العديد من الناس اللي كانوا بدون، لكن الحملات ظلت قاصرة على فئات معينة وظلت الغالبية العظمى من الناس البدون عمليا بدون أي جنسية. Okay. Now the Palestinians. This is the last example. The Palestinians in the Middle East and in North Africa. Okay. Wait a minute. So Palestinians throughout the Middle East and North Africa have been regularly denied access to citizenship. So if you go to Tunis, Tunisia, you will find a lot of Palestinians without nationality. They do not have the Tunisian nationality. They were not granted it, by the way. Also, the Palestinian who dwell in Lebanon, despite the fact that they are born to Lebanese women or mothers, they do not enjoy the Lebanese nationality. So the 1965 protocol and the treatment of Palestinian in Arabic state, these governments, the Arabian governments, were urged to treat these Palestinian people as not, the refugees especially, to treat them in the same way as citizens. However, neither the Palestinians who are not refugees or even the refugees one could could be granted the nationality, despite the fact that this protocol urged them to give them this nationality and to treat them as citizenship until they retained their Palestinian nationality. However, it didn't happen. Okay, so consequently, the Palestinians cannot attain nationality in many states in North Africa, like Tunisia, for example, and Algeria, and also the Middle East, like Lebanon. The only exception to this is Jordan. Jordan granted the nationality to a large number of population, the Palestinian population, through the Article 3, Paragraph 2 of the law number 6, 1954 of the nationality, which was amended later. And actually, the nationality was given only to the Palestinian who came from the West Bank, originally from the West Bank. However, the Gazan people were left without nationality, without a national ID number, even. So the Gazan people, or the people who live in Jordan now from a Gazan origins, they do not enjoy the nationality nor the ID number or the national number. So they are considered without nationality, without nationality. However, between 2004 2008, the Jordanian government denaturalized more than 2,700 Jordanians of Palestinian origin, and hundreds of thousands more were at risk of being denaturalized. Mostly were from Gazan origin. I mean, people from Gaza originally. Anyway, Israel's nationality law, this about the people, I mean, the Palestinian people who dwell or who stay in Palestine after the Nakba. These people were not granted the Israeli nationality immediately. I wish if this could be illustrated in more details during the semester. However, this is the last lecture, so I will not be able to give you more details about this issue until we take the second course, inshallah, in the second semester. I will highlight this problematic, I mean, the problematic of the Palestinian nationality or the Palestinians population who reside in Israel, and how did they uh, get the Israeli nationality, and under which conditions actually. Statelessness has had a profound effect on the lives of Palestinians, unable to acquire citizenship and exercise the rights associated with it. Many Palestinians live in poverty in refugee camps. The situation of Palestinians in Lebanon, where Lebanese law places serious restriction on their ability to work. ولا إشي بيقدر يشتغل اللاجئ الفلسطيني اللي عايش في المخيمات، حتى حرموه انه يشتغل شغلات بسيطة. يعني أكثر مهنة ممكن يشتغلوها هم سواقين تاكسي، ويمكن حطوا restriction عليها كمان. And own property, they are not allowed to own property or to register them in the circle of registration of the real estates. They're deprived of such right. Is considered particularly dire. Anyway, Human Rights Watch write, wrote a report regarding this problem. Meanwhile, the Palestinian population of Kuwait and Libya were forcibly expelled in 1991 and 1995, respectively. Some of them moved to Egypt, by the way. This is all about the third reason of the statelessness case. I mean, discrimination against minority groups. So these minority groups are facing now the problematic of the de jure statelessness. Thank you very much. This would be the last lecture for this semester. Inshallah, in the coming lectures, in the second part of private international law, we will continue illustrating the nationality and the domicile. Then after that, we will be talking about conflict of laws and the international jurisdiction as subject matters of private international law. I wish you all the best in your final exam. Thank you very much and goodbye.